Hey y'all, and welcome to another video. Please excuse my voice in this voiceover. I am getting over a head cold and I have a lot of congestion left over still, but I wanted to go ahead and get this done so I could get this video up. I'm going to be doing a 2 different color ombre water bottle, and I'm just starting with a sanded and prepped cup like normal, and I'm going to be using the epoxy method for the glitter. So I'm just going to smear on a really thin layer of epoxy. I'm talking like maybe a milliliter, really thin. And to get the epoxy to move around really easily, you can heat your cup up in front of a space heater or hit it with a heat gun or however you want to. But once the epoxy warms up, it moves a lot easier around on the cup. And you just want to make sure you get it all over every little space. You don't want any bare spots. You want everything colored really super well with glitter. And you'll see later on in the video, end up doing 2 coats of glitter because I used a white background instead of the color of the glitters. So the glitters didn't turn out quite as vibrant as they would have. But I just want to point that out. If you use a white background, your glitter won't be quite as vibrant. And once your tumbler is covered well enough with the epoxy, you're going to go ahead and start glittering. I always start with the lightest color first when I'm doing an ombre. I just think I want that to stick faster because you can cover it up with darker colors, but if you try to put a lighter color over a darker color, it doesn't end up working out very well. But I just go around the rim and make sure that my rim is covered really well, and then I'll tip my cup up so it kind of falls down so you don't have a harsh line where you want it to fade at, and just let the glitter naturally fall. You can go kind of slow doing this so you don't over glitter it or go too far down or whatever. You just want to be really careful when you're doing this. I'm not sure if you can really tell in the video, but I do like to go further down with my lighter color because, like I said, the darker color is a lot more prominent. So if you go down with your lighter color, it looks a little more even. And then, of course, the ever important step of pouring your glitter back into the container. Like I said in my earlier videos, I've done this countless times where I forgot to change the glitter and then you just have a huge mess. So going in with your darker color, which this customer wanted purple and yellow, it's for her daughter, but you just essentially do the same thing. Start at the rim, make sure it's covered really well, and then tilt the end of the cup up so it can fall down and kind of make its own little ombre. You don't really want any harsh lines or to be able to tell where, like, you know, one color starts, one color stops. You want it just to kind of fade together. And you can see how the fade starts more in the middle of the cup now because I took the yellow further down on the cup. So it lightens the purple up more at the fade line and it's right in the middle of the cup. And then you want to let this dry for about 4 to 6 hours. I am going to go in and do another coat of glitter. But first I'm going to go around the rim with some acetone. This is just regular acetone. I got it from Walmart, but you can get it from Lowe's or wherever. Just straight acetone. And remove any epoxy and glitter that's kind of gotten around the rim. I really should have taped it, but I didn't think about it. But then you want to dry brush off your glitter. So whenever you're doing, I'm going to use Mod Podge for the next layer. And whenever I'm painting the Mod Podge on, I really don't want that glitter that's already on moving around. So go ahead and brush it off before you go in and start painting on your Mod Podge. Whenever you're doing Mod Podge over glitter, you do have a little bit longer of working time than if you're putting it straight on a tumbler, but you still want to move pretty fast. This stuff does dry pretty quickly, and you don't want any bare spots where you don't have glitter, just dried Mod Podge or whatever. So just move kind of fast. I just want to note that I am going to be doing the bottom last, so I'm not putting Mod Podge on that yet because I don't want it to dry. But once the tumbler is completely coated in the Mod Podge, you go in with the glitter and do the same exact thing that you did on the first layer. You're just gonna go around the rim and make sure it's covered really well, then tilt the cup up and kind of let it fall and do the same exact thing. And don't forget to change your glitter. You do not want two different colors falling in together because then you've wasted all of that glitter. And now we're going to go in with our darker color. We started with our lightest color like the first layer, and we're going to do it the same exact way, starting from the top, or in this case the bottom, and working our way down. Let it fall as it will. Just tilt your cup up and let it go. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom, and I'm just painting on the Mod Podge on the very bottom, and then I'm going to stick it into the glitter that has accumulated on the paper to make sure that I get really good even coverage and that it's pressed in there really well. You want to use kind of firm pressure. Don't push it too hard all the way through the glitter or anything, but just make sure that you're coating it evenly and pushing it in so the glitter sticks really well. And some people wait 30-45 minutes to an hour and they go ahead and start doing their epoxy. I like to make sure that my Mod Podge is really super dry, so I usually wait 2 to 3 hours, sometimes overnight. But then I'm going to go in with my first coat of epoxy, and I do the same thing as when I'm glittering. I start with the lightest color and then move that around and then move to the darkest color, because if there is any loose glitter, you do not want that dark glitter getting into your lighter glitter, because like I said, you can cover the light up with dark, but you cannot cover the dark up with light. So just be mindful of how you're putting your epoxy on, like where you're putting it on. And right here I'm just removing a piece of Mod Podge that had like flaked up a little bit. But like I said, just be mindful of where everything's going. You don't want the glitter moving around too much and mixing up the colors. And once that first coat of epoxy is dry, about 6 to 8 hours later, I'm going to go straight in with a second coat. I have not sanded, I have not done anything. It's still on my turner, and I'm just going to go straight in with, I did about 10 to 15 milliliters on this layer. These are smaller, they're only 12-ounce water bottles, so they don't need as much as like the 30-ounce tumblers and whatnot. This layer is what's going to start smoothing out your glitter So you want to be kind of liberal with this layer. Don't put too much because will turn into a mess. You don't want to put too much, but you do want to have enough that it starts evening out the glitter. And I'm just going in with my torch to pop any small air bubbles or whatever may be there. After that coat, I felt like it was smooth enough that I could go ahead and add my decal. I did sand it down a little bit just to get some pokey bits out of it, but you want this to be super smooth because you will be able to see any lumps or bumps that are under the vinyl of whatever you're putting on the cup. So you just want to make sure it's super smooth. I'm just putting my transfer tape on my decal and smoothing it on, and then I'm going to peel the backing off of the decal. That's the easiest way to do it. And like I said before, I just eyeball it when I'm putting my decal. You can measure if it's super precise, but I always have good luck just eyeballing putting it on. And I am layering a water slide on top of this white vinyl decal. So this is not the easiest way to do it, but it was the most effective way that I found for all these little intricate cuts and colors that I was doing on this tumbler. Once my water slide has soaked in the water enough and is coming free from the backing, I'm going to go ahead and peel it off. There's two different ways you can do it. You can lay it face down so you slide the backing off and leave the water slide on the surface, but I forgot to mirror the image. Figures. So I just peeled the water slide off the paper and laid it down like a regular decal, and it worked out perfectly fine. I've done this for ornaments and other things too, but I'm just lining everything up so you can't really see the white vinyl underneath. But if you don't use white vinyl underneath a water slide, the colors won't be near as vibrant. You won't be able to see them as well, especially on this dark color cup. And this is what it looks like. You can see a few ripples in the epoxy, but those do end up filling out with this third layer. I let the water slide dry for overnight, actually. Just, you want to make sure it's really dry and it's not going to crack or move around or anything. But I'm going to go straight in with my third coat of epoxy and torch it at the end. I just wanted to add in that anytime you're working with epoxy, you really want to use proper PPE. I'm wearing a respirator, even though I'm not showing it. You don't want to breathe in those fumes. They are toxic, and you want to make sure you're wearing gloves and do not touch the epoxy with your hands. You do not want it sticking to your skin. Once I got everything covered to my liking, I'm going to go ahead and torch it again to remove the bubbles. And now I'm going in for my final coat of epoxy. This isn't always necessary after a decal, but this was still, especially around the top, it was still not quite completely smooth, and I really wanted to make sure that I sealed in that water slide really well so it wouldn't get damaged, because they are a lot more delicate than a regular vinyl decal. And this is how it turned out. Super smooth, glass-like finish, really durable for kids, you know, back to school. They're rough on things, but my customer was super happy with it, and that's really all you can ask for. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I'm trying to get better at doing these. I know they're still a little rough, but I really hope you'll stick around and subscribe and like this video.